welcome to Role4Recap, where we go over what went down in the other arcs that were previous to where we are now. I am your host, Bright, and I am here with our two other players, who are Brett, who plays Boston Jones, and then we have Sanguine Rev, who plays Rick. How are you two feeling today?
Woo-hoo!
Good. Ready to be here.
Let us discuss.
Excellent. Discuss. So I'm just going to kind of go over a summary of what went down in this arc, and then we can expand on it as we go. So,
what episodes are in this arc?
13
you don't get to know
22.
that.
Oh, one more time.
13 through 22.
Thank you. Charlie, look at my notes.
Ask your silly questions.
All right, so in this summary, in the last sessions, the party dealt with the aftermath of a confrontation with Scully and terrorists at a funeral. Boston attended the funeral, while the rest of the party tried to handle squatters in a bodega. Scully, the criminal that they captured, died mysteriously. Fenda then discovered a mole in the police department, and the party is now heading to the city of Trihon Manor to explore the Church of Death and gather more information about the Dark Queen. So, any general notes that you guys kind of want to go over before we really deep dive?
Yeah,
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You are all excited.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that I was really excited about with this arc was this was recording in October. Mm-hmm. So we had some really cool spoopy shit that we got into that I know we're going to talk about for a bit because it was great and it destroyed a lot of us mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, it's not really mentioned in the recap, but that's fine because it's only 3 episodes out of the total of 9. But that's fine. It was right before we captured Scully at the funeral. But that's okay. That's why we're here.
And then just to clarify, what are your characters? Who are your characters?
A prissy butler bitch.
And I definitely didn't have enough to eat as a kid, and now I'm your problem. Now I have a shotgun.
All right, so now we're going to kind of go over what went down. So kind of with that first session, session 13, titled Loss of Faith. You guys saved a kid. The party saved the kids and discovered Daniel is missing. Then you went looking for Daniel, encountered a child trying to break into a car, and then Fen and Rana chased the child.
This setup is what led to the formation of the Bodega Street Crew.
Yes. Yep. Yes, it is. That no one acknowledges except for Nash.
And Rick. Rick has always had Nash's back on that.
Which is great because on a lot of the promotion material that you guys have used in the past, it says Bodega Street Crew.
Oh yeah, it's that's what we are.
Publicly known, but no one in the party acknowledges it except for Nash.
Well, it's like how no one knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but we all know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Wait, he is? You spoiled... I can't...
Sorry, I thought you were caught up on the last 60 years of comics.
I was waiting for the 75-year special. I was going to just read all of it.
So after that, Fen actually was able to stop the kid using hideous laughter, which great use of that, and then interrogated a realtor to get information from Scully.
Mm-hmm. We got no information from the kid though, which is a little bit of a bummer. So we just let him blue skidoo. And we continue on. We go into the bodega that we became the street team for, buy a bunch of things, and Fen actually gets a contact from their boss, and it's not looking good. They actually have a bit of a spiral, and Boston comforts them, which was, I think, the first time Boston showed any other emotion than fuck off.
We also got to see Rick's reaction to junk food, which was bad. Why would you put this in your body?
Let's see. Then Ramita explained her ideology, and Fen sensed Daniel's cult stuff near the realtor's office. After investigating, they found Daniel's clothes and suspected a setup. Fen then, after taking their call from their teacher, shared the limited information and was advised to lead the children to the police. The party then headed to the warehouse, suspecting that they might go after Daniel on their own.
That warehouse was the spot where we accidentally too.
Yeah.
That was a really good pop sound.
Thank you. Been practicing.
But are there any other kind of things in that episode we want to go over before moving on to the next?
Yeah, isn't this when we were trying to like sneak around and get good angles on everything, and just none of us were able to see shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I believe directly in the notes is Rick fails to see, eyes malfunction. We're really good at seeing things.
Yes, that is a direct quote from Brett's notes, which is honestly still so very funny to me. All right, and then after that, we head to session 14, Bad Trip.
Definitely bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rev, do you want to clip over that?
Yeah, so the party felt things weren't really adding up, and Tobias might be involved in the criminal organization. Also, Fen might be having, like, visions. But yeah, so we went back to the warehouse that we had previously, like, scouted, and then instantly got hit with, like, a cloud of something. Boston and Nash started seeing, like, these really fucked up monsters, and then we started a fight, and that's basically, like, real short, that's the whole episode.
Yeah.
Few details, I think. Like, we all...
short.
We all got separated because we were trying to find any information, because for some reason all the lights were turned off. We were trying to find a breaker box.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of us started tripping, which is strange, because I think at that point I was already immune to disease, and I thought that would affect, being drugged. Was not, in fact, that. And also the robot.
Poisons and diseases are separate things.
That is true.
The more you know.
And technically, I was the only one seeing monsters. Nash thought he was a dog and was hunting things with a pack.
He was a wolf.
But by this point, the only one that was seeing something genuinely terrifying that was like monsters, I was seeing monsters because I was stepped in straight into a scene from what was I gonna say? Oh, Saw. Just bodies and blood everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rick's vision was that he was actually in the refinery where he was supposed to have been sent back in episode 1. Because if we all remember, he was supposed to be decommissioned.
Yeah.
So he was in a furnace actively melting.
Yeah.
And dealing with that.
I have to ask, do automatons have fear?
Rick did, for sure. We have this sort of delineation of automated creatures in the world of sentience, where there are base level ones that are basically a Roomba and no more sentient than they know where they are in a space, all the way up to things like Rick, which are essentially, in Rick's own opinion, living without a soul.
Whack.
Yep.
Yeah, and Rick, speaking of people living with Ramita was, I believe, climbing nonstop was their dream. And like, then a giant monster like popped out of it, which turned out to be Baldric trying to help climb them down. And Fen was basically dealing with Dementors, except it was just floating faces just making fun of them, if I recall. Damn. Or traumatizing them, one or the other. It's about the same.
Well, you have a poor experience.
Looks like we're going back to session 15, Haunted Warehouse, where everyone can, we go back to being surrounded by illusions and battling each other, specifically Boston and Nash. And then, Brett, do you want to take over the rest of that recap?
Yeah, Nash kicks the crap out of Boston, for the record.
I believe he tore chunks of Boston off.
That is true, and I shot him with a shotgun twice.
Well,
Rock salt, because I wasn't using actual slugs, because I'm not meant to kill people. So I'm doing half damage to a barbarian.
Well, no,
that's
only
in a full
one
rage.
person in our party kills people.
Yeah.
Fen.
In this factory, actually. But after Fen is able to deactivate the mystery like fog dispenser, and there are people that show up here that are like, dude, like, why'd you mess with it? Like, this is a horror attraction. Most of our party is angry because this is not safe. Like, this is going to be for the public. Really? So we all reconvene and we step out trying to get in contact with the police and
most of us were angry.
yes.
Rick, in context, loved it. And as his penchant, decided to be chaotic in giving them like props. So he name dropped his one of his former masters, Lindsay Astor, as himself, and gave them like this really great promotional quote and told them they could use it, and even paid the guys running the haunted house. It was 100 megs, which is a lot of money for people.
Yes, for the lower class, as you put it.
For the poors.
There it is. Okay. We could not find the chalice that was used to de-magic the ring that we found before and other things. So we looked behind the junkyard. We looked, and there's nothing there. So it might be with the police. So we are trying to head to the police station. Fenric tried to de-escalate others from going back into the warehouse to try to get some more intel on what's going on, because we get a contact card referencing Daisy, who is the content creator trying to create this warehouse into the attraction. We don't get a lot of information from that, so we regroup and discuss what the next moves are. And that's kind of where the episode ends, as we're kind of all piling into the car.
Then we move on to session 16, labeled "This Isn't Fine," where the party left the factory, deciding not to go to the police station, and return to the hotel, to which Fen tried to contact Daisy, the content creator, but got sent to voicemail. Boston then suggested putting a hit on Scully for intel as they discussed the plan. Then Boston and Rick had an encounter with a maid in the hotel room.
An encounter makes it seem like she was trying to kill us. If memory serves, she was just in our room, and we were like, "What are you doing here? We're still here." She's like, "Oh, I'm cleaning." Like, I have guns in this room. Please leave.
Well, and also, I think this is the moment that Rick was like, "Oh, we need to just buy out the floor and keep the staff out of our space."
Yeah.
Because for the record, Rick probably paid pretty close to the value of the hotel for our stay.
Yeah.
Should just bought the whole place. Then you can make money off of it.
We talked about that. We did. We actually did discuss that.
After that, Nash received a call from his parole officer, and Fen got a message from Professor Oren with an email attachment, a handbook on investigation and laws, and an apology. And that was essentially at session 16.
Which I'd like to point out, if Boston had gotten a message from a higher up within the Cowboys hierarchy, it's like, here's how to investigate, here's the laws you need to worry about. Also, I'm sorry. He'd be like, the fuck are you sorry for? Don't talk to me like that.
I'm like, I appreciate the novel, but the book, but why are you apologizing to me? This is the job. What we're supposed to do. I'll get over it. Thanks to whiskey, mostly.
That's the personality difference between what Fen and Boston are doing.
Oh, anyone else in this party would not have accepted that apology. Nash should have been like, it's the job. Rick would have been this is what I'm programmed for. Me would have been like, you're a sweetie, and pinch their cheek. One thing we forgot about the session that's pretty important. We do get the name of Scully.
Yeah.
Because there's a police report. Right? Donald Schaefer. As we're sitting in the thing, Fen is, as they're looking through that new book that they got, there's reports from police and things like that, and we discover that he already does have a bounty. And a couple of the other people that are in his organization do as well. But Scully, who is Donald Schaefer, has already a megabyte bounty on him already.
We're going forward to session 17, price and payment.
So, with episode 17 called Price and Payments, we kind of started with Boston and Rick going on a shopping trip, because that's the two people most likely to do that. We got a handful of equipment, including a stack of tasers that have yet to be used. Rick... Who am I? Rick got an umbrella, and Boston got some metal clothes. No one cares. Fen and Nash had an awkward conversation. Ramita gathered information from a girl named Vanessa about Scully down in the, I think it was either in the bar or, restaurant of the hotel, where they were, gossiping as girls do, and the hotel staff were all super interested in Ramita and Nash's relationship. She was like, no, grandson. Boston and Rick bought the stuff from Liz, who was like a cowboy pawn shop type thing, including Rick's Boston's exoskeleton. Who cares? The party then got updates on everything they were doing.
That's kind of just like a fun little shopping and get to know you episode, really.
Yeah. Session 18 was called Dreams. And as it might surprise all of you, there were a lot of dreams that happened this episode. It's also just a kind of we're coming down from the stresses that were This Isn't Fine and Haunted Warehouse. So people are just kind of doing their own downtime thing. Fen listens to some family emails. Boston has a terrible dream about being haunted. Ramita gets buried alive. Nash is, doing safe, calm things in his dream, ripping things apart as all healthy people do. Fen drowns, and Baldric, sweet, innocent Baldric, changes his batteries because as an automaton, he cannot dream.
So, in answer to the question, do androids dream of electric sheep? No.
No, or maybe just Baldric's faulty because he's old. He's 90 years old.
Well, also, the battery wasn't clipped in properly, so maybe he does dream and he just failed.
And also, this is not really a major plot point, but as we're sitting after we had all those terrible dreams, we're just sitting, and then the DM says, hey guys, pick songs from this list of things, and we all technically now have theme songs. If you're curious which ones they are, go back and watch the episode. We won't be able to play them here because copyrighted.
You can check out the Spotify playlist that we put together on the Patreon.
In other news about this episode, parents have been notified, and a lot of the kids are being returned back to them. They are going through extensive therapy, but from the kids that we saved, a lot of them are going back to their parents, which is huge.
So the next session is session 19, named Tenants. The party headed to the squatter house to find a prison escapee. Fen captured them with hideous laughter, and Ramita and Rick approached them from different sides. Ramita created a disturbance at the front door, while Rick goes into the back door and experiences a malfunction in his eyes. Nash saved Rick from this malfunction, and they split up into two groups to explore the different rooms.
I was mistaken earlier. This is when we see things really good.
You right. Then Nash and Baldric encounter a dark elf named Zyle Turin, who is surprisingly cordial. Zyle is an old classmate of Fenrana's, and they enter the house together. Nash opens the bathroom door and lets Ramita in, while Rick picks another door, revealing a dark elf named Milo. Milo is injured or sick, bleeding oil when cut. The redhead prisoner is revealed to be bait for Scully and is named Bing Cuddlecake. Do we want to expand on Bing Cuddlecake?
No, there's nothing to say.
So, on the old channel, we had some really cool redeems available, and one of them for 10,000 channel points was you get to name an NPC. So we were all shooting for that because we kept all spending our points on dumber things. So I had the first one, and I came up with that name because I used Fantasy Name Generator and was looking for Christmas elf names because they're all stupid. And then we all also collectively decided to not use that name.
But it is for sure the last thing that was written in Brett's actual notes for that session. Was that his name was Bing Cuddlecake.
Yep.
All right. And then, Rev, do you want to continue with session 20?
Yeah, so Nash and Rick got intel from the Bing Bong, learning about a strange hammer that the warden had. Fen and Ramita were talking to the Elven twins and brought them back to the hotel because, as I said, we had bought out a whole floor, so we had privacy, and they were kind of potentially at risk of stuff, so we wanted to keep them safe and secure. Viper called Ramita to inform them that their fight was canceled and they were heading towards Vorak. Nash and Rick's friend, hostage, whatever you want to call it, was politely encouraged to stay put by being handcuffed to a toilet.
Yes.
Which, in my mind, it was like bent over the toilet, arms around, tied through the back. I don't know if that's how everybody else thought about it.
I thought it was leaning up against the, yeah.
And then Boston got an emergency message from the group and went to the funeral, as we kind of talked about there at the top, and fought Scully and the cultists right there, and then put out his own emergency call. Nash
I got
and
to
Rick,
7 hit points, but I did defeat Scully all by myself.
Nash and Rick left the guy tied to a toilet because he's fine there to go get involved. Actually, to get Ramita and Fen so we could go get involved. And by the time we got there, Boston had taken care of stuff, so I don't know why he called for help. What a wimp.
No, I think I got hit with like electricity damage for like 23 points of damage, and I was like, ow.
You got over it?
I did, but I'm wearing plate mail.
Don't be a
Ow.
coward.
I will say that this was something that I remember vividly tuning into as a watcher and being like, oh crap, that was intense. How are they going to get out of this one? How are they going to explain this to the police? Oh.
I was a little afraid Boston was going to die. I was going to come up as another character because no one in this party, other than Fen, I think, has any healing spells.
I don't think Fen had healing spells at that point.
I think they have healing word.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I was going to say, I think you were the sole person who had healing.
I still
at
am
the
also
time.
a soul character that has healing.
That's true.
Consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah.
From there, we get to episode 21, where Scully arrived with the terrorists and Boston subdued them with the help of Viper. Ramita removed Scully's ear very violently, and the party took them to the police station where Scully aged excessively and then died from natural causes.
Natural cause is a bit of a stretch, but to
I would
clarify,
say natural causes.
Accelerated natural causes.
Ramita and Boston a little bit. I'll make it very clear because he heals him up again so he doesn't die. Destroys this man. But yeah, as we're driving him there, he does begin to age unbelievably fast, similar to Indiana Jones 3 is the best way to describe it.
And then at the end of it, Fen discovered a mole in the police department.
The potential chance of a mole. In session 22 gets into more detail.
Mm-hmm. And then session 22, Rev, you want to end us off with that?
Yeah, Viper was able to not get written up by the parole officer. Boston says goodbye to Nova and Edward. Fed was able to actually get into the storage files for the police station and discovered who the mole was. And then after that is when we're like, okay, now we gotta follow these leads, and that took us into Triune Nanor, which is where we encountered a death cult.
Temple to the Death God, but close enough. But yeah, that was a very interesting episode. Because one thing that's not in this thing is that the reason why Viper was not written by the parole officer is because Boston handed them a gun during the combat. And I believe this was also the episode where Ramita slugs Boston because he gave Viper had Viper assist them during the combat. Mind you, Viper can't aim for garbage. They missed every time they tried to attack. But Viper did help, and the parole officer was not amused that, they assisted in, violence. But yeah, this was a very intense arc, I think, out of all the ones we had. After dealing with the actual, going to the school and, saving the kids, trying to pick up the pieces and trying to get closure on all this, well, I think was a lot in Boston's mind anyway. I'm not going to try to speak for everyone else, but it was really important that we, got this guy. And it was not satisfying when we did, because he died and we didn't get any answers. We did discover he did have a magical ring that seemed to be the cause of it, but it triggered at a random time. And I don't know if Boston still has it or not. But
I think Rick is wearing it. Because the only effect on the ring is that it can, like, if something would drop you to 0 hit points, it forcibly ages you to death. But as a Warforged, Rick is immune to age.
You got a little more little more rusty.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a moss beard, as it were.
Tree beard.
But yeah, good episodes. All these were very good. A couple of us were out for a couple of them, but so the twins are actually given off to Tobias, so that way he can kind of put them in sanctuary and keep them safe until they're able to get things cleared up. Boston was not updated on these people where he thought they were a part of this cult of children, and there is a bit of issue with that. Because Boston was never explained, because I wasn't there and no one told Boston what was going on. So he snaps at these people saying, "Get out." Oh, and it turns out that Tobias is retiring. Well, that might be a spoiler for later. I don't
these
remember.
Things can be found if you continue watching Breaking Character on Roll4Respawn.
Or
and if these are later episodes,
watching the following episodes of Role4Recap.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you so much, guys, for joining me here. I really appreciate you guys coming in and helping me recap these. These have been very interesting, and I look forward to seeing you guys later on to go over more episodes and more arcs in Breaking Character. Are there any closing thoughts, anything that you guys want to go over?
I would like to say that the campaign was simpler in the earlier episodes. It really wasn't. It was just as chaotic and painful.
Yeah, no, we haven't changed. We're not
at all
smarter or better.
All right.
Just a few more hit points.
Yeah, I do still think that means, though, that Fen is canonically one of the only people to have killed repeatedly.
And that will go over in our next episode for sure. But otherwise, why don't you drop your socials real quick, guys, and then we will head off.
Just Brett. I stream on Twitch every day except for Sunday. I do a variety streamer, I'm a PNG YouTuber. I'm a little cloak green guy. He's fun. It's fun to just be able to play games. I'll see you guys there. Go ahead, Rev.
I am Sanguine Rev. You can find me in all the places that you can find me. Google exists. But I do stream some places. I upload videos in some places, and I upload pictures in some places. You can also find me on Roll4Respawn, where I participate in many shows.
And also, just a reminder, I am Bright. I am the host of Role4Recap at this time. And I am also only here on Role4Respawn for Role4Recap. You can also find me on Thursday Gate Thursdays, where we are currently playing Baldur's Gate 3. And you can catch us in there and find it on our schedule. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. And we hope you continue on this journey with us. We appreciate you. But have a good day.